Hey YouTubers, I am Bobby.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is Spiritual Healing. Today we're going to talk about, obviously, spiritual healing. And this is sort of an intro to our video and our upcoming next few videos. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself, which is important. My name is Bobby. I had actually gone through my spiritual journey, my spiritual quest, if you will, about 5 years ago when I had a lot of stress from not having a relationship with my dad. And mind you, he was an excellent father when I was a kid, but it almost felt as if I was, kind of tossed to the side as I became an adult. And a lot of that was due to my stepmother. So I had been dealing with that for, the majority of my life, more so in my adulthood when my dad and I had eventually stopped talking. And so I kind of went through a dark side, but eventually ended up seeing the light, if you will, understanding and knowing that people may bring you down, and that can consist of family members or even friends, and setting a lot of expectations in people, and I've learned to just kind of let that go. A lot of things have happened in my life that I can't explain, that were just too coincidental, to the point to where I wouldn't really call it coincidental. It was the powers that be that led me to where I am today. There were certain things I would call synchronicity, things that I might have been feeling at a certain time, and all of a sudden there was my answer. I was seeking an answer of guidance, and then there it was, right there in front of me, and nobody can make me believe otherwise, that it wasn't something from the higher powers that be. So I am a big believer in spirituality, a big believer in the afterlife, and that we continuously come back to learn something in this life. And if we haven't learned it already, we keep coming back until we learn whatever it is that we're supposed to do, or what we're supposed to learn in this lifetime. Stacy, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Just tell our listeners what you have gone through in your spiritual journey.
I think I've always been really spiritual. I think I just really didn't know how to hone in on it, or really pinpoint, what exactly it was. I mean, there's all these different religions, and there's all, so much different advice from everybody. Everybody believes a certain way, and I think just for so long I was so confused. But then, less than a year ago, my mom, she passed away, and I was her primary caretaker. And it was definitely really hard, of course, but it kicked me into this spiritual place, and all these things kind of kept showing up, kind of like you were saying, like the synchronicities. There was a friend that, is very into it, and of course you were, and so you would send me stuff, and my friend would send me stuff. It was just like I was getting all this stuff. It was very overwhelming. It still is to me, personally. But one of the main things was educate yourself. Educate yourself on different religions, different, and I wouldn't necessarily call I guess this spirituality kind of a religion, per se, but so I think educate yourself on it, and just kind of get to where you're comfortable, with it. So.
And I think some of the other things that we wanted to cover in this intro video of spirituality is living in the moment.
Yes, definitely. It's so hard because your life is so fast-paced. We have kids, we have relationships, and it's, there's all this stuff that you have to do. There's schoolwork if you do have kids, there's just cleaning the house, all this stuff, but you miss out on the time with your family, or which I believe is, and friends, of course, is one of the top things.
Yeah.
And I noticed myself just not even really paying attention to my kids and stuff and my family.
Like being in the moment.
Yeah, I was worried about what was going to happen in the future. I was worried about what had happened in the past. I mean, I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I think I just wanted to be happy. That is the only place really that I'm coming from, that I was at a point in my life where I just was never happy almost. Yeah. And I mean, the only person obviously that can make us happy is ourselves. And
exactly.
I'm not saying I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm more on the way to get there with dealing with my past issues or just any of that.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, it's about, I guess, it's almost like meditating, but it's not. Like, my kids were putting a little play for me, and I was really focused in on it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't thinking about, okay, well, we need to get ready for bed, or, somebody said something to me earlier, it stressed me out. I was really there with them. I was listening to everything, I was seeing with my eyes, I was using my senses, I was feeling, I felt the air, from the fan, everything. Yeah. I was really in the moment. I was really there.
Yeah, and I've had a few of those moments, except it's only now I look back on those moments where in that moment I was worried about something when, put that aside for a minute, but everything was good. Like you were talking about the air, you could feel and breathe the air. I had a moment where I look back on in the past that, God, that was a good moment. But I remember what I was thinking in that moment, which was something that had not already happened or had happened.
Exactly.
And, and I think, I'm not perfect, and
we're all human.
Yeah, so even when you feel like you know it, you don't. Even when you feel like you've learned it, you don't. We're human. At the end of the day, don't beat yourself up if you catch yourself. If you feel like you got it and you feel like you're able to live in the moment, good for you. But there will come a time where you're not going to be able to be in that moment. And that's just, it's like strengthening a muscle. You continuously work out in order to build muscle mass. It's the same thing. Is being more self-aware of what you're doing and living in that moment. Even with us recording, I'm thinking about what I need to do at home. I need to be in the now, right now, here and now, because when I leave here, something could happen to me. It's scary to say that and to think that, but you're not promised tomorrow. You're not even promised the next hour. Yeah. So, I feel like it's very important to be in the moment. And I feel like that goes into our next, little topic, our next bullet point. There was a word that you mentioned I thought was so powerful, and I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about that. The word is understanding.
Yes. So one of my friends had told me that, and I was like, is he saying this wrong? It's like, okay, understanding, no, it's, this has to do probably a little more in depth of the spirituality or whatever, but it's understanding yourself, your traumas, your triggers, just everything that comes with it. It's stuff that you're going to deal with, and understanding your own self, and the way, like, what somebody else can do to you that triggers something to completely even shut your world down, Like, I had a friend, and, something had happened, he got triggered, and it took him 24 hours to recover from it, like we said, we're not perfect, we're just we keep learning, you keep educating yourself, understanding yourself.
Yes.
So, it's like there's people that have been doing this forever, and they're like actually teachers of it, and they still have stuff to work on, childhood traumas, or,
it never ends. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even relationship traumas. I have both of those things, and it continues on with your family, your relationships, your more serious relationships. It's, like with me, it's really hard for me to trust people. It's really hard, to not be jealous.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just you have to understand,
Yeah.
you know, yourself.
And I think that also goes into the next bullet points. Actually, I'm going to mention both of them at the same time, which is high expectations in yourself and having no expectations in other people. So, what does that mean for you, is having a high expectation in yourself?
I think I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I feel like I might have a slight bit of OCD.
Yeah.
You know, it's just certain way that things are, but I guess that's kind of like a coping mechanism.
Yeah,
You know,
I would say so. I mean, having high expectations in yourself, I know that I've battled drinking, I've battled alcoholism, and I'm not going to lie and sit here and say that I'm a recovered alcoholic. I mean, I don't drink, but there are times that I think about it, and there are times that I have dabbled in it and I beat myself up over it. Of course, you know, I was a functioning alcoholic, so I never really thought, and there's so many more alcoholics out there that don't even realize that they're alcoholics because it truly doesn't affect their day-to-day life. And that was exactly what I was. I could drink, but I could get myself up in the morning and go to work, be on time, if not early. I might have felt like shit, but I still functioned and did my day-to-day things. And I honestly never thought of myself having a problem. I mean, I knew that at times when I would feel a certain way, like, oh, I should cut back, you know. And I felt like the justification was hearing others talk about, man, I got so shit-faced last night. And it would kind of solidify and validate for me that, oh, I'm okay. I'm normal. This is all normal, you know. This is normal behavior. And it's not. So, I mean, that was part of what I had gone through 5 years ago, is accepting the fact that I can no longer drink. Is it going to be a challenge? Absolutely. But
are you gonna mess up?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I hope it's not big. But
Yeah, but
yeah.
you know, you're human, like we were saying. You know,
Yeah.
you're not perfect, and there's gonna be triggers, and it's almost like I do stuff like that too. It's almost like I'm punishing myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's from those past traumas
Yeah.
that I never, and still a lot of them I haven't dealt with. You know?
And I think the drinking also came from, which the other thing that we mentioned was no expectations in people, because I would put a lot of people on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was disappointed, it would ultimately affect how much I was going to drink that night. And it would burn me up to the point to where I got off of social media, because if I was pissed off at the world, I would go and I would post something. And of course, the next day I would wake up when I was coherent and think, what the hell did I just post? And I'd have to go back and delete it. And, you know, going through what I did, I realized that even though I had been pushed to that point of alcoholism due to, I would say the root of my problem was the relationship with my father, and ultimately the relationship which, like, you know, topped it off was my sister not speaking to me because of the way her wife treated my mother. And I wasn't going to have that, you know, because my mom is basically my best friend. So, but I say all of that to say this, is that at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my actions. Even though they might have been the trigger point, I can't blame them for what happened to me 5 years ago. I have to move forward. I have to be responsible for my own well-being. And that brings me to another thing, is that, you know, it can be anything, like someone pissing you off at the store or on the road. It's nothing personal, but you allow your good energy to turn into negative energy and you react to it.
I think it surprises you too sometimes,
Yeah.
because you're not expecting it. You know what I mean?
You never
so
are,
then that's what can really trigger you too.
And the last one I wanted to talk about too, this was one that I learned after getting out of an 8-year relationship. It took me a couple years to learn this, but I think this one I've mastered. I think maybe even you too, is, you know, you don't need someone to make yourself feel fulfilled. And what that means is like, you hear certain people talk about when they're young, oh, I got to be married by a certain time. But why? Why do you feel the need to be married? Because everyone else is? All your friends, all your peers are married with kids? Like, why do we feel the need to be like everybody else? You know, you cannot make someone else happy. I actually remember my partner telling me that a family member of his, who I'm just not going to say, but everyone had said the same thing about this particular family member of his, which was she needs a man. And my remark to that was, no, she doesn't need a man. She needs to check herself. She needs to be happy with herself. Otherwise, she can't make whoever else comes into her life, she can't make another man happy until she makes herself happy first.
Same with your children.
Exactly.
You know, like, and I feel like that too. I mean, when I'm lacking, you know, like before I feel like I was good, and then, you know, like it's like something happens, and then, you know, I'm just like, I feel like I'm not even good for them.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I'm definitely not, you know, yeah. I'm not there. Like, I'm not totally okay with myself. I think that was, you know, it was hard for me to even like interact with people, yeah. or even walk down the street. And I was searching for something. I was, yeah. looking for something more, for something, you know, that was gonna make myself happy, mm-hmm. you know, like, and like you were saying also about like putting people on a pedestal and just expecting so much, you know, it was like, even, you know, from my husband, like I expect so much, but he has no idea,
yeah.
you know what, like I'm expecting. It's like, but if you have no expectations of the person, they will, you know, exceed anything because you're not expecting anything,
yeah.
you know? So.
Well, that was our little intro to spiritual healing. So stay tuned for more videos. So we appreciate our viewers. If you like what you see, please hit the like button and subscribe. All right. Yeah. Down there. All right. Thanks.